Welcome to Home Tiny Lab. My name is Christoph, and I'm getting a Fatal Trap 12 on my TrueNAS Core server. And this video is going about all the process and the steps that I've taken to solve the problem. Here we are seeing the TrueNAS server that has the problem for the moment. Like you can see, there are 8 drives in the system. The system is from 2013. The only things that have been changed are hard drives as an upgrade, and I've made a video about that. I will put the links down in the description. And I've done some upgrades on the memory. I went from 8 to 16 gig, and I changed the processor out on my FM2 Plus socket motherboard. And I changed from 2 threads to 4 threads in 4-core processor. All the fans are also nocturnal fans, and the case where I have built in my NAS server is a Fractal Design R4. Everything is done to get a more or less a silent system, because the system is actually now running next to me, where I am also recording and working on my videos. And now I am getting an error. The thing that's happening now is that the system is always rebooting. So the system is booting up, and when he encounters the Fatal Trap 12 up, it restarts again. And let's go now to what's happening on the system. Here we have the first startup screen. Now he is starting up from the USB stick that I'm using as a boot device. Until here everything is going well. It's only when the system is trying to import the volumes. So I have 2 volumes on my system. I have one volume that's called RAID 5 and one volume that is called volume 1. Each volume consists of 4 disks. All hardware is recognized. I'm getting all the information from the hard drives. Detecting also the USB, loading plugins. Now syncing disks. Beginning pulse import, importing RAID 5. We are almost up, and there we have the Fatal Trap error. So this is a pre-recorded footage. I've clicked on pause so that I can show what's on the screen. So above on the screen you see Fatal Trap 12 page fault while in kernel mode. And from here on the system does only one thing, and that's rebooting. And everything will begin all over again. So the system is in a loop and always getting Fatal Trap 12. So here is booting again. So the first thing that came in mind was to, I will pause the video again. The first thing that came in mind was to do a memory test. For this I used a free tool that you can download at the Passmark site. I will put the link also down in the description. You can download the free version of the software, and when you click on the executable, you only have to put in a USB stick, and you will override the USB stick and make a bootable USB stick of it. And then you can boot from that USB stick and launch the passmark mem test. I only used the default settings. I launched the mem test, and I was in my first pass after 25 minutes already getting a lot of errors. Here I was already at 137 errors. If you're getting this, you can stop the mem test and beginning swapping out memory until you don't have any errors, so that you know that you have good memory in your system. So after swapping out the bad memory sticks, I had 2 bad memory sticks in the same channel, and I placed 2 other memory sticks in those memory banks. And then I launched again my memtest 86 from Passmark. Here you see the boot screen. And you select config, and then you can see all your system information and a really quick overview. I went immediately again to the start test, and then I let it run. I think that I've done that I have let it run for let's say 24 hours, and I encountered never again bad memory or errors. So I am doing here a follow-up on the memory test. I'm already at my 3rd pass of 4 that I'm doing, and you can see there is already gone over 6 hours and 20 minutes. So when you had done with the test here, I relaunched it until I had 24 hours on the clock, and I was pretty sure that memory was not anymore an issue. So after that I've checked the memory, I booted up again, and the first thing that I've done was launching a scrubbing on both of my volumes, and there something went wrong again. I'm going to fast forward. So let's look after the good place where I want to be. So I launched here the scrubbing. Let's look further on. Okay, so here I'm checking the scrub again after I rebooted again. So the scrub was here at 76%, and a little bit further on, after 4 or 5 minutes, the system reboots again, and he tries again to continue scrubbing the system. So the thing that I had to do was to stop the scrub, so that I could further on troubleshoot my system. So after looking around for a bit, I found a way to stop scrubbing. I'm going back into the system, back into a shell command. Here I'm going to verify the status of RAID 5 to see if the scrub is still launched again. So status. We see again that it is at 76%. And now I'll type in the command to stop the scrub. zpool scrub and the S to stop scrub on RAID 5. It doesn't harm the data on your volume. It only stops the scrub. So scrub is cancelled. And then the thing that I had to do was then to export or disconnect my bad volume RAID 5. So I booted again up. Let's tell what happened before. So when I stopped the scrub, after a few seconds, the system rebooted again. When the system rebooted again, I disconnect and exported the volume. And since then on, the system was always stable. So here I'm going to show how I create the new volume from the disks that were before in my volume RAID 5. I was not happy with my choice of name. I typed volume with a capital V, with uppercase V. Creating the pool, and pool is being created. To go further, so here you are going to see the actions that I've took on my RAID 5. So I choose export and disconnect, and then destroy data on this pool, then volume 0 because now it's volume 0, but in my case before I had to type RAID 5, and then export and disconnect. So from then on my system was stable. Now I am recreating my volume 0, now in lower case, so it's the same as my volume 1. So selecting all the drives that are left, configuring it as a RAID Z, so only one drive redundant, and then clicking on create, confirm, create pool, and creating the pool. So formatting the disks, and now we have again our volume 0. The thing next to do is to set your data back on your new volume that I had before on my volume RAID 5. But I did something else first. So here you see that I am replicating some data that was all on volume 1 back to my volume 0. So I had three data sets that were replicated from RAID 5 to volume 1, and now I am doing the reverse of it. So I'm replicating that data back to my volume 0. Those data sets were replications, so it were backups from my RAID 5 volume. So this is what I'm doing to test if the volume is not crashing or doing something weird on me. So I've done those replications. So here you see that the task started and running. So when the 3 datasets that I had on my volume 1 replicated were back replicated to my volume 0, I done something very important. I checked my version of TrueNAS that I was running. So I am running here TrueNAS 12 U5, but there was a security issue with Samba, and because it was a really high thread, it was 9.9 on the thread scale, so I updated it to version U8. So if you haven't done this at the moment of seeing this this video, try to do it as soon as possible. The update is going on. So when the update is done, normally for doing the update of your TrueNAS Core, it will reboot twice normally. So logging in again in my TrueNAS server and verifying if updates are done correctly. For one reason or another, I always like to check if I've done all the updates correctly. The thing that I've done after that, I launched again some grabs to test again the volume to be at the safe side before continuing to copy data over from data that I had in emergency copied over to my volume 1 and to copy over data that I had on my copied over to my workstation because I had not enough space on my on volume 1 to copy all over from RAID 5. So this the scrubbing went well, so no problem there. So after that the scrubbing has finished, I looked at how I could copy over all my other data. So what I've done, I created the data sets that were missing now on volume 0. And then I copied over the data from the different places where I had stored them. So here you see that I only had my 3 datasets that I had replicated. Here I'm creating another dataset, a dataset that was called backup. And the dataset, that dataset had my images from my different Windows PCs that I have around in the house. So here you see my process of making it as good as possible. I went back to the shell and there I looked at I went looking for my backup folder, and that backup folder, there is the data that I'm going to move to my backup dataset. I use the rsync command with -R to copy recursively. And I am copying over everything from the folder where I am in, and I'm copying it over to my volume 0 in dataset backup. And enter. And so I did every folder and every dataset one by one. So let's go forward. So here you see running the files that are copied. So if you add the -v, you will see the information that is copied over. If you don't put the option V, it will be in silent mode, so you will see nothing happen, but it's copied over. Okay, so this is the last part. So I have copied over now all the data. Let's fast forward. Here you see that all the data sets are created again. And the only thing that I have to do now is to set the shares correctly and to put my syncing service again active. But the most important thing is done now. So I have recreated a new volume, and it solved the fatal trapped valve problem that I had. Caused through, I presume, bad memory. So if you want to see other videos that go over TrueNAS Core or what I'm using in my home lab, don't forget to subscribe and to give a like if you like content like this. And I will make a follow-up if something still goes wrong with my TrueNAS Core server. And otherwise I will make certainly other videos on TrueNAS. Thank you for watching, and I see you back next time.